Hey guys, in this tutorial we're going to be importing a 2D texture from Kenny.nl's website and using it as a playership. If you can't see the link, I will put it in the description. Kenny's got an entire site full of free assets. The one that we're using in particular is called the Space Shooter Redux. Just click download. You don't have to become a patron, but he appreciates it if you do. Open the zip file, and in the PNG folder, it's called playership1blue.png. Take that and drag it out to your desktop. Now, if you notice, this image is oriented towards the top, like the front of the ship is towards the top. But in our project, if you go to 2D textures, playerships, Red Falcon top down, or really if you go to any of them, you'll see that these images are actually pointed to the right, where the front of the ship comes out of the right of the image. Another thing is, if you look at the properties and details, the dimensions are 99 by 75. It really probably would be better to have it at a power of 2, which would be 32, 64, 128, 256. We're going to make this 128 by 128. I'm going to be using GIMP. If you don't have GIMP, it's free, or you can use whatever image editing software that you have that you want to use. It's pretty much going to be the same no matter what you use. In order to do what we're going to do, it's going to probably take the same buttons. And just drag that in there. Scroll in it a little bit. Alright, first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to change the canvas size to 128 by 128. Then the next thing I want to do is I want to grab the mover tool and move it to where it's closer to the center. I'm going to transform. We're going to rotate it 90 degrees clockwise, so that way its orientation is to the right. Whatever software you're using, these scale tools are probably a little bit different in every one, but they're mostly the same. I just want to kind of scale that up to where it's pretty close to 128 by 128. I don't want to go completely over because there may be some pixels there that I can't see. So I'll just get right to the edges. I'm going to export that back to the desktop, but I'm going to call it T_Kenny Playership Blue 1. That way it's already named once we import it into Unreal Engine. You can just close that. Now back in the engine, go back into the editor. We're going to go into the folder 2D textures, playerships, and inside this folder just right click and click on this new folder. I'm just going to call it Kenny. Open that, minimize your window, and then just drag the playership in. Make sure you get the one that's oriented to the right. Now when it imports, it's going to pop this little window up that says Texture T Kenny Playership Playership Blue 1 was imported as a normal map, and that's because it's so blue that the engine thinks this is actually a normal map, but it isn't. If you go into that, if you mix that, and it says texture group world normal map here, just bring that down to 2D pixels unfiltered. And here where it says normal map, click on that and just go back to where it says default. Close that window and then come back to your image here, your texture, right click on that, go up to Sprite Actions, extract sprites. It will automatically cut out to the size of the ship. Let's rename that. Left click on it and push F2. Let's get rid of this Sprite 0 stuff. Go back here to the T, and we're going to change the T to SP for Sprite. Now right click on your Sprite and click on Create Flipbook. And back here where that's changed it, change the SP to FB for Flipbook. File, save all, go to your content folder, open SHMUP Magic Arcade, open Maps, and open your play level. Go up to the first BP level controller, and this where it says Playership Flipbook, click on it, and then select FB Kenny Playership Blue. Select Use 2D Flipbook, and then let's hit play to test it out. Actually, hit escape. You want to go back down the level controller, and where this says has level sequence, unselect that for now. That way we can test it quicker. We don't have to wait on the level sequence every time we test it. And there it is. And the size looks perfect to where the shield is. It looks a little bright. You can actually adjust that. If you go back into Content, SHMUP Magic Arcade, 2D, Textures, Playerships, and back into Kenny, where you're on your texture, double click it and open your texture. Down here on the brightness, you can adjust that down. Let's go with 0.6. Save, and then push play again. See, now it's not quite so bright. Blends in a little bit better. But you can pretty much just set it to whatever you want. Also, another thing to note, that this brightness right here, it can go up as well. So if you set that to 2, click save. Now you can see how bright it is now. Let's change it back to 0.6. And that's it. The flipbooks are really made to have more than one frame. If you open the flipbook that we just created, it only has these keyframes here. It only has one keyframe. Frame run of 1 and frames per second. So since that's only got one frame, we're just going to set that to 0 so it doesn't sit there and try to flip through that and just waste processes. Thank you guys. I'll see you next time.